Welcome to today's episode of The Growth Zone. I am Christian Bartsch. What is the core benefit of listening to this show? Business leaders in corporate and privately held companies gain insights into trends and strategies that provide them with a competitive advantage in the marketplace. Each episode focuses on an area such as marketing, sales, innovation, or funding that is absolutely critical to the growth of companies, whether they are startups or corporate global players, where management needs to juggle the challenges of market entry or knowing how to navigate the uncertainties of disruptive developments. Mind feeding is where clarity evolves and helps solving organizational challenges. For those who listen to the entire episode, I have a special surprise gift. I am working on some great guests that are industry leaders in management, innovation, and marketing. Let's get started on today's episode. So today I am with Jack Bosch, who is based in Phoenix, Arizona. And today's topic is flipping and investing in land properties. Jack, before we get started into our conversation, please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to. So thank you very much from one German to another. But love speaking in English here too. That's after 23 years in the United States. It's actually easier for me than speaking German. And yes, so myself, I am an immigrant to the United States from Germany. I am. And I invest in real estate, and most specifically, not just any real estate, but in land. So, and actually, not just investing in land is probably the wrong way to describe it. I flip land. My wife and I, we flip land, and our team, we flip land the similar way that others flip houses. Just that land has a lot of advantages over houses, namely that there's no tenants, toilets, termites, there's almost no competition because everyone goes after houses. Plus, there is that but you can make the same or bigger profits than with houses. But because it's land, you don't have to go inspect it, you don't have to assess estimate repairs and things like that. So it's overall a much simpler real estate investing technique that requires much less knowledge about real estate and can make you the same or better profits. Now, again, I'm from Germany originally. I came to the United States to just basically get an MBA and Masters of Business Administration. Then I had my job in Germany lined up already. I was ready to go back home. I basically just said to my parents, here's my furniture. Let's put it in the basement. I'll be back in a year. And then I'm ready, have my job lined up, I have everything lined up. And I subleased my apartment because it was in the same city I was already living in the job. And so I was like, I'll be back and everything is good. Well, 23 years later, I'm still here in the United States because very short weeks into moving here to the US, I met my wife. Who is my business partner, who is my love, who is my the love of my life, and she is an immigrant too from Honduras, Central America. So together we decided to stay here in the United States, which also we fell in love with. We are now American citizen, and a few years after graduating from college, we got jobs. After those jobs, almost worked us to death. We stuck it through to get the American green card through that job, but in parallel, we looked for something else and we started real estate investing and we discovered land flipping. And once we discovered land flipping and figured it out, we were at $1 million in net worth. We were basically millionaires in a matter of 18 months. And we were able to quit our job in a matter of 6 months after that. And coincidentally, just around the same time that we figured this out, the green card also arrived. So we stayed with the job another 6 months, but it only took 6 months. Then we had replaced the job with all the income and paid off our debt, and life was good. So, and ever since, we have done 4,000 deals. For the last 11 or 12 years, we now have been teaching this to others. We have lots of people that have created $1 million profits in land from following us, and lots of students that create six-figure income from land flipping. And yeah, that's a quick summary of my background.
Great. So let's go and have a look at our first question. what makes land flipping a lucrative investment opportunity, and how does it differ from other real estate investment strategies?
Okay, so what makes land, and I covered just a little bit already there, but what makes land different is that it makes what makes it lucrative is the fact that in itself it's an asset class that people buy because they either want to build a house down the road on there, perhaps life changes, or they used it to like a mini ranch, like a few miles outside, perhaps even an hour or 2 hours drive outside. They bought 40 acres and they used it to put their camper on there and their RV on there and their dirt bikes and so on. But over time, they're like, you know what? The life changes. They settle down. They don't want to do that anymore. Now they have this property, and once you own a property piece of land, if you own it for a long time, it costs property taxes, it costs just a little bit maintenance, and people don't want to hold on to these pieces of land anymore. Now, compared it to a house you can always rent out, right? You fix it up, you rent it out, and so on. Even though that's a lot of work, people do that. But with land, what happens if you just hold on to it? It just costs you money. So a lot of people have enjoyed the land, did what they wanted to do with the land for a few years, and now it's 20 years later, and they no longer want to own that land. The time and circumstances have changed. And now they just want to get rid of it, and it causes them pain that they have to pay those property taxes. The second reason, so they want to get rid of it. So therefore, we have a big pool of motivated sellers who just don't want to pay property taxes anymore. Secondly, and if the property's in the city, they have to maintain it. They have to mow the lawn. They have to make sure nobody squats on it and things like that. So they just don't want to hold on to these pieces of land anymore. The second reason why it's a profitable area is because the fact that banks don't lend on land means that most people, particularly, by the way, we're talking about land that is worth between $5,000 and $200,000, and banks typically do not lend on that level of land. Banks do lend on like the $10 million lot next to the ballpark where they want to put like this big commercial center or something like there. They lend on that, but they don't lend on the land in the outskirts of town, the rural acreage, like the mini ranch, the mini farm, things like that. They don't lend on that because they're not comfortable with it. So as a result, most owners that we work with actually own these properties completely free and clear. So now we have a beautiful situation. We have a property that is free and clear, 100% equity, plus a seller that really has kind of written off the property and doesn't want it anymore. Sometimes they go to divorces. Sometimes they have passed away, the owners, and the heirs are sitting on a piece of land that they really don't want. Let's say the property's in Texas, the heir is in New York, living the vida loca, right, enjoying life, and they're like, I got this piece of land that I told my dad 20 years ago he should sell it. He never sold it. Now I have it, and now I'm responsible for property taxes. I don't want this. And it creates that kind of garage sale mentality where people are willing to literally let the property go, not just for a 10 or 20% discount, but literally flip that around at 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. So typically the profitability here is in the fact that we're dealing with complete non-wanters that are willing to let this property go anywhere from 5 to 30% of the market value, so 5 to 30 cents on the dollar. And now that gives us the opportunity to flip these properties in two ways. Number one, by selling it for cash, but at a steep discount. Typical real estate wholesaling, as it's called. We put on our contract for 10 cents on a dollar. Let's say it's a $50,000 property. We agree on a purchase price of $5,000 because the sellers just don't want it anymore. And we put it on the market at $30,000, which is 60% of market value, which is a smoking deal. And because it's a smoking deal, people jump on it and they buy it from you very quickly. So in a very short time, let's say a few days or a few weeks, you have this, or 3-4 weeks, you have this property sold for a $25,000 profit. That is the equivalent or more profit than many house flippers do. But the house flippers have to go sit down with the owner at the kitchen table, convince them to sell the property, then have somebody estimate repairs, then do a whole bunch of things that come in addition, perhaps line up financing if they're rehabbing it, blah, blah, blah. They have to do all these different things. And in land, we don't have to do anything. As a matter of fact, everything we do is virtual. Meaning we make offers from the comfort of our, well, like we send people a letter. Right? We identify areas that we want to go into, usually growing cities and the outskirts of growing cities. We go get a list of property owners from the county. We go send them a letter. They respond. We then do a little bit research from the comfort of our computer. We then make them an offer. They accept the offer, and then we hire a title company to do the closing, and we actually to navigate the paperwork, and we then create a listing which we post online. And you can do that literally from anywhere, including even Germany. Like we have students that are in Canada, that are in Mexico, that are in China, that are in Jamaica, that are in Bolivia. We have people in Argentina. We have people in, I believe in Argentina. We have people that, and we have quite a few students actually in Germany doing deals from Germany in the United States. So in combination, it's a complete 100% location independent virtual business that you can do at very low dollar amounts from anywhere in the world, making the same or better profits than the house flippers do.
Great, that sounds really good. And what are the central tenets to your forever cash financial philosophy?
Can you repeat that?
What are the central tenets to your forever cash financial philosophy?
Right. Okay, wonderful. So when we talk about land flipping, what we're talking about is really a method to create what we call a cash machine. So everyone, we believe there's two ways to create wealth in the world. One is a good way, and one is a proven way, and one is a way that almost everyone tries and almost nobody accomplishes. So let's talk about the second way first. So the second way is the way that almost everyone tries and nobody accomplished. What we have been trained to do in this world is the following: go to school, get a good education, and get a good job, right? Robert Kiyosaki talked about that in Rich Dad Poor Dad 25 years ago or 20 something years ago. That's hit home with everyone. That's why this book sold 30 million copies or so. Right? It hit home with me too, because that's what I've been was trained to do. That's what my wife was trained to do. That's what almost everyone was trained to do, right? We go get an education, get a good job, and then we save 10% of our salary, and we save that up, put it in the stock market, or perhaps if you're a little smarter than that, you put it perhaps once you saved up a little bit, you buy yourself an income property like a piece of real estate. So let's say you put away $5,000 or $10,000 if you have a really good paying job, $10,000 a year on the side. Let's say every 3 to 4 years you have enough down payment to buy a rental property. So now 50 years passed. You work from age 20 to age 70 or so, and at the age of 70, you now have 10 rental properties that some of which are paid off that produce some really nice cash flow for you. That's one way, but the downside of that is that you're old at that time, that you work 50 years in a job instead of enjoying life. Well, I am a proponent my wife and I, we're proponents of a second strategy. And the second strategy is that while you perhaps have a job and while you get education, nothing against good education, I have 2 masters, no problem. I have an American master, a German master, Diplomkaufmann in German as it's called, which is the equivalent of an American master. My wife has a master, so nothing wrong with education. We enjoyed going to college and so on, but it also took a lot of time and a lot of money. And we had a lot of student debt. But then what you want to do is you then want to, as you have your job, you need to separate your job from your money, right? Your job cannot be the sole source of your income. You need to instead build a second leg to stand on that over time can become and might become your full leg to stand on. And that is basically another kind of income source that over time can and will exceed what you make in your job. So if you truly love your job, right? If you're like a zoo animal keeper and you love working with that, but it pays you $30,000 a year, then you still need to, in your free time, you need to do something else that perhaps produces $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year, so that you can use that as your cash machine to then place further investments. And then you can still enjoy your job if you love it. If you don't enjoy your job, which is the majority of the people, then you use that second leg to stand off to replace your job over a short period of time. This is what we did. We hated our jobs. I hated our jobs. So what we did is we figured out what can we do nights and weekends at a part-time to replace that job as fast as possible, so that I don't have to travel 100%, so I don't have to work 70 hours a week, so I don't have to only have 2 weeks vacation in the United States, and so on. So we created, and land flipping is that technique because it has much less tentacles than anything else that you ever see in real estate. You can do many more deals in much less time, produce much more money than any of the house flippers can produce. So what our wealth philosophy has therefore grown, that it says you got to create that cash machine that produces such much profit in a year that you can buy those 10 rental houses if you want them in 1 year. Every year you can buy 10 rental houses. So now you do that for 5 years, you have 50 rental houses. 50 rental houses, particularly if they're done the right way, they spit out 6 figures for you. You are done for life. But where does the money come from? The money for these rental houses comes from your cash machine, from your second leg that you need to stand on. So in other words, if I summarize that into our wealth philosophy is that number one, you need to make more money. And I don't mean by that a 5 or 10% raise in your job. I mean like massively more money. You need to build up a second leg to stand on, whatever that may be. Of course, we promote and we propagate we think land flipping is the best method for that, and it is. So that you need to you create that as your cash machine and build it up as fast as possible to the 6 figures, so that you then quit your job. And then what you do is you live on a portion of your profits, and the rest of it you roll over. And that's the second part of the wealth strategy. It's not just an income strategy. I know people who make $1 million a year and can't retire because they spent $1.1 million a year, right? That's not financial freedom. That's somebody that makes a lot of money and is spending it all. So what I'm saying about you play offense, you create a lot of money, and then you roll that money over into additional wealth vehicles like improved real estate. So we do land flipping for 18 years. We have done 4,000 deals. Land flipping provides a very, very strong cash and cash flow from us, because we also sell these pieces of land often with seller financing. So a $50,000 property bought for $5,000, we sell it for $50,000 with a $10,000 down payment. So the down payment is more than we pay for the property, and $800 a month for 10 years. And that provides cash flow too. So we create land flipping for cash and cash flow, but then all the excess profits, we live a modest life, or we then roll over into additional houses, apartment complexes, commercial property, such that ultimately when you say, you know what, I don't want to do land flips anymore, I don't want to do real estate anymore, I want to take the next 5 years off or the next 10 years off to take care of my aging parents, I want to travel around the world for a year, you can, because you actively created now generational wealth by making money quickly. Well, not super quickly, but it's not a get rich quick program, but making money quickly with a cash machine and rolling that over into other cash flowing asset classes. So you have 50, 100 houses, an apartment complex that spits out $200,000, $300,000 a year in cash, and you retire. And then you retire with an asset that's being paid off by the renters, and an asset that produces a 6-figure income for you, and you never have to do anything in your life again. That's our wealth strategy.
Great. So let's have a look at the last question I've got for you. What factors should investors consider when deciding how to enter the real estate market?
All right. It's a great question. So what should they consider? So they should consider a few things. So one of the things they should consider is the complexity of the method that they are going to get into. For example, we do 3 different things. We flip land, that's our cash machine, as I just mentioned. We also own a portfolio of around 50 single family rental properties. And we own about 350 apartment units. And we own a little bit of commercial, like a car repair facility and other things. So if you look at all these things together, what the easiest thing to do, the simplest thing to do is land flipping. The most complicated thing to do and the highest risk thing to do is apartment complex investing. Why is that? Because when we, for example, last year, we wanted to buy a 150 unit apartment complex, and we put in $150,000 as an escrow deposit. And we negotiated a few times through different things, and we made a mistake of waiving our right to move to back out of the deal after the second or third renegotiation. And what comes out is at the very last day, or like 3 days before closing, it comes out that this property is severely environmentally challenged. That there's like that there's the soil is all contaminated. So we backed out of the deal, and we lost $150,000 on that deal. So it means that even though we have 18 years of real estate experience, we have done 4,000 deals, we have owned all this real estate, we still, this apartment complex investing is so complex that we still lost $150,000 last year on that deal. Having said that, on 4,000 land deals, we have only lost money on 5 deals, and on those we only lost like $1,000 a piece, and only because we made a mistake in the analysis that we basically didn't follow our own steps. And the other one, we did follow our own steps. But the point is here. So in other words, we lost $5,000 and made like, I don't know, 8 figures. So in other words, we basically did not lose money, because $5,000 is nothing compared to all the money we made on 4,000 deals. So in other words, what an investor should consider is, number one, how much do they already know about real estate? If they know a lot, great. They can go into the more complex areas. If they know very little, I believe they should stick to very simple areas. I hear story after story after story that beginning investors think they can go take a house and they rehab the house because they watch Flip This House or Flipping Atlanta or Flipping Vegas or Flipping whatever it is. They saw these TV shows, and they get a house under contract, they buy it and they rehab it and they get a loan, and they lose tens of thousands of dollars because all the surprises that come to them in a rehab project. So as a result, and then they're so scarred that they leave the market and they never come back, and never come back to real estate. That's an example of somebody that went into the wrong area of real estate because they overestimated their own abilities. That's why I love land flipping, because you don't need to really know anything about land. You learn some stuff on the way, particularly if you work with us, right? And our coaching students, for example, they learn tons because they're being guided by our master coaches. But the point is, you still don't need to know much about real estate, because there's no house on it, there's no things on it, there's nothing, you don't have to inspect it, and so on and so forth. And there's ways to check on environmental issues if that is an issue that you're concerned about on websites. So having said that, therefore, it's land is an easy way to get, or simple way to get into real estate. It's not always easy. Obviously, there's work involved, but it's a simple way to get into real estate. Apartment complex is a very, very complicated way. I mean, I know people that have looked for the first deal in the apartment complex world for a year and a half, and then spent another half a year closing on that deal. So they basically worked for 2 years almost before they got paid for the first time. So bottom line is, and I know people that lost a ton of money in their first rehab deal. So bottom line is, you want to look at your knowledge, you want to look at your abilities, you want to look at your comfort level, and then you want to pick something that you think you can handle with your current knowledge level, and where you don't have to first become a PhD in something. Like in certain areas, you have to become a PhD, like apartment complex investing. It's so freaking complicated that we're in it for 5 years right now, and we're still learning. We're still learning things, obviously. So therefore, that's what they should look at. Now, if you're picking an improved property world like houses, then look at your own market. If you're in a hyper competitive market like LA, Phoenix, Denver, Atlanta, and so on and so forth, Miami, then you be ready for having to dig really, really deep to get deals done. So look at markets, look at and again, the beauty of land flipping is that it's virtual. So we have people living in Los Angeles doing deals in Florida. And we have people living in New York doing deals in Texas. We have people living in New Hampshire doing deals in Alaska. And it doesn't matter where you live, because it's 100% virtual.
That sounds really interesting, because when you think of it, it's not just only something that you're doing that you can use as well to generate wealth and income, but theoretically you might even be able to use it even for your own business. I mean, not just for investing, but let's say you're looking for some property where you want to put up any kind of business unit, even if it's
Oh,
a
absolutely. I mean,
communication
we own.
system, a factory, whatever.
Yeah.
Your knowledge, your skills about especially land, because I don't need, if I want to put a factory somewhere, I don't need a land where there's some house and tenants in it and they create problems and so on. By the time I want to build the factory, I've already given up and I'm doing something totally different, or I have the factory in somewhere else, wherever. But land sounds really great.
Right, exactly. I mean, we own a property that we have currently for sale, and we actually are renting it. Like, we're renting a piece of land that is on a corner lot, commercial property on a very busy street with like 30,000 cars a day driving by. And we're renting it to a construction company to store some construction material on there. And we paid $90,000 for the property, and they're paying us $2,000 a month. I mean, that's a $24,000 return. What is that? That is like a 25% annual return on the investment that we have made. That is really fantastic. And if we want to, it's big enough to put like about a 10,000 square foot like office building or a dental office or something like on there. But we're not builders, so we're selling it. But also, we have a commercial property. It's a car repair facility that we also bought for $94,000. They pay us $2,300 a month in rent. So that's almost a 30% return that we're getting on that property per year. And they pay their rent on time, and they do their own repairs. So it's almost what's called triple net. It's really double net because we still pay for property taxes. But it's a beautiful. You can find those deals with our method too, and then hold on to them and rent them out and make cash flow that way. Or if you are in the business that you need a bigger place for yourself, you can definitely save hundreds of thousands of dollars when looking for an expansion location for your own business. But most people that do our technique don't do it to find their own deal, find their own property for themselves to stay on. They do those to flip. And then they use the money that they make in flipping to then buy their dream property, whether it's be a house or a lot to build their factory on or things like that.
So that whole concept of land flipping, is that something that you can only do with property in the United States, or can you do it as well with property in Canada, United Kingdom, Germany, France, Australia? What's your perspective on that?
So the perspective on that is that it would theoretically work in any country in the world. The reason that we focus on the United States is that part of our process is to get to send a direct mail letter to the owners of the property, and therefore you need to find out who owns the property, and that is almost impossible to find out in countries like Germany because of the privacy laws that exist there. So it is, however, it is to some degree possible to find that out in Canada. So if somebody can find that out, but the key is if you can find out who the owners are and where they live, then it is possible anywhere. Because even my own family, when my grandparents passed away, the heirs, my mom and her 5 siblings, they all got the inheritance, which was like a house basically, and also some land on the outskirts of that small town. And nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted to deal with it. So they sold these about $7,000 lots for $1,000 to somebody else. So even then it worked, but it needed to be initiated by them. So the reason it works so extremely well in the United States, that in the United States, all property information is public record. That means you can go to the county records and you can look up the property down the road. Who owns that? It's Steve Smith. Here's his address. Here's where he lives. Because you obviously cannot send a letter to a property because there's no mailbox on the property. Right? But you can send a letter to the owner of the property if you find out who the owner is. And in the United States, this is all public information. There's online services that you pay a small fee, like or even just a few cents per record. Right? There's a service that we partnered up with that we recommend to our students. They don't pay us anything back, but we found them, so we're referring our students to them. That you can get a record for like 5 cents. You can get a property record for 5 cents. So you need 1,000. You want to send out 1,000 letters to owners of property, of pieces of land in a certain area. You just log on from the comfort of your home. You say, I want this area. I want these kind of properties in this price or in this value range. And it gives you download it and you upload it into our CRM software if you use it. and then most of our students do, upload it into a CRM software, and then you connect it to the mailing house, and the mailing house sends out 1,000 letters to owners of properties in an area that you have identified as an area where you want to do deals. So this is how completely automated and completely virtual this can be done. You try that in Germany, you won't even find out who owns the property. You try that in Australia, they also have some stricter privacy rules. But the beauty here is that because this is 100% virtual, we have people in Australia doing, one couple I can think of, they're doing 25 to 30 deals a month in the United States from Australia. We have Canadians that do 10, 20, 30 deals a month from Canada in the United States. So they live in Canada, but their business operates in the United States. We have students in Germany that live in Germany, can't even come to the United States because of COVID, right? And they're doing deal after deal after deal after deal here in the United States. We now even have a German coach that does 30, 40 deals a year from Germany in the United States and coaches our German students that want to learn how to do that too.
Yes, so it was great having you here on the show, Jack. How can people get in touch with you if they want to find out more about your property deals and your courses and so on?
Wonderful. Yes. So the best way to get a hold of us is two ways. One of them is by going to the website www.landprofitfund. So land, L-A-N-D, profit, P-R-O-F-I-T, and then fun, F-U-N, like having fun. So fun.com, landprofitfund.com. Or if you're on Facebook, you can also go to Facebook and request to join a free group where a lot of our successful students are hanging out. And that group is called Land Profit Generator Real Estate Investing Group. So you go to landprofitfund.com, definitely go there, but then also go to Land Profit Generator Real Estate Investing Group and like request to join. You have to agree to the terms of not spamming and things like that, and wanting to truly help each other, because it's an amazing group where a lot of our students help each other to get to success.
Great. So it was great having you here, and we'll be talking sometime in the future as well, again, about similar topics.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Growth Zone with Christian Bartsch. Thank you for listening. Please leave a review or rating here on iTunes or on podchaser.com. If you found the content helpful, then share it on social media. I would like to invite you to follow our show so that you don't miss the upcoming interviews with leaders in the market. Simply visit the website follow.prmediareach.com. I will be adding the link also to the description of this episode so that you just need to click on that link. For those of you who are listening and signing up to follow the show, I have reserved a free copy of the ultimate guide on content marketing. This is the strategy that got me top corporate clients like McDonald's, Linde, Hewlett-Packard, Deutsche Bank, Volvo, and many others. That strategy has been working for over 10 years. It also got me contracts with police, transport authorities, military, and several universities, and even leading research institutes. For sure, it also worked wonders as it got me many small, medium-sized entrepreneurs and enterprises as clients. And that even included international clients from all around the world. The link to sign up for our free broadcasting service and the guide is follow.prmediareach.com. That will give you access to the most recent version of my ultimate guide on content marketing. You can follow me as well on Twitter by using the Twitter handle CAP_Bartsch. That's spelled Charlie, Alpha, Papa, Bravo, Alpha, Romeo, Tango, Sierra, Charlie, Hotel. Yes, that is CAP_Bartsch. Charlie Alpha Papa Bravo Alpha Romeo Tango Sierra Charlie Hotel.